Okay, welcome back to Ask a Monk. Next question on good books to study on Buddhism and what parts of the Tripitaka I would recommend. I'm often cautious to recommend anything because there's such a wide audience out there, and I think my tastes are rather specific or specific. But if you agree with the sorts of things that I teach and say and believe and purport to propound, if you appreciate the meditation teachings that I've posted and you think that's a good method, then I would recommend to look into similar teachings. The best by far, in my mind, that anyone could ever read after they've started this sort of meditation is the teachings of Mahasi Sayadaw, Mahasi, one word, and then the next word Sayadaw, Sadayaw. Sayadaw means teacher, Mahasi actually means big drum. It was the name of the place where he became a teacher. But that's the name he's known by, and he's passed away, but he was an excellent teacher and well revered. There's a website with his books in a PDF form. The thing about him is he was both scholarly and meditative. So in Burma, there are scholars that are, mind-boggling. They can memorize the whole Tripitaka to an extent. Mahasi Sayadaw wasn't such a person, but he was very well learned, even by Burmese standards. But his focus was meditation. So even though as a novice, as a young monk, he went through all the studies, later on he realized that the most important thing was to practice them, which is not common actually. It might surprise people, but many monks fail to realize that the most important thing about the Buddha's teaching is the practice of it, and go on to practice. So he went off to practice with this monk in a cave, and that's when he really started to teach, to give something. And so these books that he's written are all after that point when he started practicing and teaching and realized this sort of way of practice, the benefit of it. And he's helped millions of people, directly and indirectly, with his books, with his teachings. And they're exceptional. I've seen many teachers. I'm not going to talk about teachers in other traditions because I don't read them, and you're asking me, so I wouldn't recommend them. Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with them. But even in this tradition, I've never read or come across any teacher who's able to put the Buddha's teaching together in such a masterful way. So that's what I would recommend as far as what is not direct teachings of the Buddha. As far as the Tripitaka and what are the direct teachings of the Buddha, I would recommend the Majjhima Nikaya, I think, because it's not too deep, and by that I simply mean there's not too much. Because if you look at, say, the Samyutta Nikaya, you've got millions of teachings, or not millions, but thousands of teachings, and it's really difficult to digest. But on the other hand, it's broad enough, with 152 discourses. The Majjhima Nikaya, the middle-length discourses of the Buddha, translation by Bhikkhu Bodhi, easy to find on the internet. I would recommend reading that. Also the Digha Nikaya, but I think maybe the translation available is not as good. I would recommend actually all of the Tripitaka, I suppose. Start with the Majjhima Nikaya. That's all I would say. But keep reading. The problem, of course, is that translations are always makeshift, even good translations. So, in the end, you're better off to learn Pali and to start to actually read what the Buddha taught, and then even just reading a few suttas is quite profound because it's in the original language. If you can't get to that point, then go with the translations. Start with the Majjhima Nikaya. Another thing that the Buddha that isn't Buddha Vachana in terms of the actual words of the Buddha, but is based on the commentaries, is the Visuddhimagga, or the path of purification, which, if you follow the sort of teaching that I teach and propound, is a great guide. It's a completely practical guide to the development of not only the meditation that I follow, but many different kinds of meditation, and you'll get a good overview of the different kinds of meditation. It talks about just about everything. There's detailed descriptions of how to gain magical powers and fly through the air and read people's minds and remember past lives and all these things that are good, but superfluous, I suppose. Not necessary, but are nice, interesting things to study about. So a good book, the Visuddhimagga, Path of Purification. Okay, hope that helps. Thanks for the question.